We have a rich history of immigrants here in this country, but are we celebrating them and all the contributions that they've made to society? Particularly here in the Pacific Northwest, the Somali Americans are really having a very rich culture and experience and impact. It's a whole situation, so get ready for the conversation right now.
Situations and conversations with Trey Renee. Situations and conversations with Trey Renee. Real situations, real conversations. Empowering the community leads to elevation. Entertainment and education, no better time than now. Pure enlightenment for the crowd. This is Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee.
Hey, welcome to Situations and Conversations. I am your host, Trey Renee. So happy that you are joining us today because we are highlighting the wonderful Somali American community right here in the Pacific Northwest. And to represent this community, we have none other than the president of SACCO, Musse Olol is here. Musse, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm on.
Boy, we have been talking a lot behind the scenes. I'm so happy to have you here today because quite honestly, I am not that educated around the Somali American community, and so I am eager to learn about the experiences and the culture that you all bring to our whole country, and particularly right here in the Pacific Northwest. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
So Musse, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you immigrated here from Somali, I don't know, how many years ago?
I moved here in 1981, to be exact, September 9th, 1981.
Okay, wow, so that's over 40 years ago.
42 years.
Wow, and what brought you here?
I came here to go to school. I want to be an engineer, and I wanted to go back and build bridges and roads in Africa.
Nice.
People don't get stuck when it's the wet, rainy seasons, so they can still be able to move their goods
Yes.
to cities and don't lose their crop.
But you're still here.
Yes.
So what happened?
What happened is when I graduated, about the last year of my schooling, when I was about to finish my schooling, Somalia went to civil war. And basically my family ended up, and many other millions of it, ended up in refugee camps in Kenya and next door Ethiopia. So everybody who could run, who could get out of the country did. It was very devastating.
Right,
event.
I remember hearing about that when I was younger, but not knowing too much, about it at the time. But I would imagine it was very devastating.
It was very devastating because it was the time I was planning to go back and reunite with my family and fulfill my dream of going back to East Africa and have a normal life and contribute to society.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, when my family get immigrated to neighboring countries, it was worrisome because their resource already gone. So we became the only resource we have.
Got you.
To support the family.
So you took that desire to help community and brought it here, and you stayed here, and now you're an engineer and also an activist. So tell me about that activism side.
Activism side actually started in me way before when I was a child. I always felt like doing the right thing and also looking out for the underdogs. And even earlier, before I started with working in the Somali community, when I came to Oregon, I realized that my colorness, because when you come from East Africa, you're colorblind. You don't have a color. You have shades and shapes. We're not black. At that time, when the word black was used before the African American was coined, and was my way of saying that what can I do to contribute? That's why I volunteered at Urban League after school program.
Right.
And I said this is a way to help black folks to get out of the misery they're going through. And also, I volunteered at the Owami Center to help African American elders. At that time, computers were kind of coming, and I realized a lot of them were actually spending a lot of money on a 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 computers. All they need is just an email, which $600 would have done it the trick.
What?
So that's what I trained them about.
Wow. Okay, so you really have been helping, ever since you pretty much got here.
It was me. It was
Yeah.
It was built in me. And even before SACCO, when the first Somali refugees settled in Oregon, was February of 1992, about 1 year after the Civil War.
What would you say the numbers are? I know there's no way to accurately know every single Somali American, especially even right here in the Pacific Northwest, but what would you say the numbers are?
The numbers vary from 7 to 8 to 10,000, depending on who you ask.
Wow.
But we have actual organizations that serve, let's say Multnomah County, they add Somali language in their translated language. But we found out in 15, when we were working with the Portland Public School, it was the third most spoken language at Portland Public School.
Really?
So people don't know this community and the population they have, an impact of the society. Many people are surprised. These are actual data that you could have easily find out.
Yeah.
And many of big institutions, they actually translate Somali, including Multnomah County elections. And the former Secretary of State, most recent Secretary of State, actually promised to add Somali in the election language.
That's great. I mean, this is exactly why I've been so excited to highlight the Somali American community, because again, I don't know that much about it, and I know that you all have, like I said, a rich culture, and you are definitely contributing citizens in society, and
Absolutely.
so people need to know the work that you guys are doing and how much of an impact you guys are having.
Absolutely. It's a society that what I call the silent black community, because linguistically challenged, they don't speak the English, and they still have that village, which means they're still in the neighborhood. You're not going to see many of them in downtown area or many other places, or many area where other communities gather. So we are in the processing stages of coming out, and but that keeps them in their own neighborhood, and that's why a lot of people don't even know the population that are here, because they don't see the natural way of seeing it.
Well, now let's talk about SACCO, okay? It stands for Somali American Council of Oregon. How and when did it come about?
SACCO was created in January 2011. In the Thanksgiving before that, there was a tree lighting incident that happened in downtown Portland, where a young Somali American kid was accused of horrible crime. This kid was somebody actually helped his family in 1992. His parents came here, and he came to this country about a year later when he was a toddler. So he was a first-year college at Oregon State University. So the community gets spooked, because what happens is if one of us commits a crime or accused of a crime, we're all of us becoming guilty. So
all suffer.
Absolutely. We pay the price for that one. There's no differentiation. We all become one ethnic group or one race when one of our member of us commits any crime. And the community came together, and they created the Somali American Council of Oregon as a way to engage with the government. At that time, what our first target was actually law enforcement, whether it's Portland Police, FBI, U.S. Attorney's Office, district attorneys, Multnomah County, Washington County Sheriffs. That's how we initially targeted to have the relationship, so we don't go back to what happened in 2011.
Right, okay. And so you started off what sounds like an advocacy group.
It was intentionally targeted advocacy.
Right.
The beginning was law enforcement.
And how have you grown over the years? What all does SACCO do now?
We grown at the beginning from that advocacy. Then we found out the school system was failing our kids at the tremendous rate. Many of the graduation rate did not reflect the reality of the kids that were graduating. And that's when we also got involved with the school system and working with them, trying to improve their situation. Next thing we realized, to get out of this misery, we had about several hundred cab drivers who are from Somali Americans, who actually, many of us who rode cab or Uber, you probably encountered them in our city.
See, and how much do we rely on these ride shares, right?
Absolutely, it's necessary. It's actually a very big part of the transportation to our airport to get you anywhere.
And people don't even understand or
They
know,
don't
including
understand
myself, that the Somali Americans are primarily the ones getting us around,
Absolutely.
taking care of us and taking care of our needs and things like that. Okay, so part of SACCO is to bring more awareness then?
More awareness, but also giving economic opportunity, because in February 2016, we launched the first Somali-owned cab business called KPDX Cab.
You have your own cab business?
Cab business is the only one actually owned by blacks. Out of COVID-19, have claimed 5 or 6 cab business owned by both African Americans. They all went under during the COVID-19, so it's the only remaining one in our city right now.
Wow. And I understand that also during the COVID time, I mean, I'm saying that because I'm really hopeful that we're getting out of this COVID shadow and pandemic, but I understand that you all helped get a lot of people vaccinated as well and got a lot of word out around COVID-19?
At the beginning, when COVID-19 started, actually, there was not much connection from any government entities. But we knew that.
Is that because you guys were just kind of forgotten, not thought about?
It was not into the system to reach out to a black operator organization like SACCO. So, but we knew there was a lot in the family, because we have a close-knit circle. We still have that village that exists, that actually we're kind of aware of somebody's getting sick, and we have lost a lot of people at the beginning.
Yeah.
But it took one doctor from Africa that actually reach out to me while at work and ask me to meet on the same day. I have to actually meet him in the parking lot of Fred Meyer's because he had a sense of urgency. And he's the one that informed me about the number, because they have the data as part of OHA, Multnomah County Corporation at the time. And he showed me the horrible data of how it's impacting the Somali and the Congolese community, which at the time represented almost 15% of the entire Multnomah County. Wow. 15%. That's about 6 times more. I know black folks in general were devastated, about 10 times the rate, but this time it was close to almost 40 to 50 times the rate of general infection rate.
So how's the community doing now?
That helped a lot, that we are able to give us, by just giving us the masks and also the sanitizers and the flyers, even though the translator in Somali were sitting in somebody's office.
Right, the language barrier. I forget about that.
We have to overcome that. That's another level. You can't just, but we have also a system to communicate with people. You cannot normally use a mass emailing because many of us don't have emails. But we do have WhatsApp groups. We do have the mosques, every one of us in the black community, whether it's church or mosque, we go to one of them, and they become our center of communication in the community.
Always so important to stay connected. However you can. If it's not through this way, then word of mouth still works just as fine. Through a mask and everything, right?
But I can add the vaccine was actually the one that was very difficult at the beginning. We did not get in time. Finally, Oregon Health Authority came us to the rescue. We started 3 months later, the vaccine.
Oh, good. Okay,
and within 4 months after that, we actually brought the number of the Somali vaccinated in the state of Oregon to 57%. From 7%.
Huge numbers. You guys were really out there in force.
As of today, when the vaccine ended in March of 2023 this year, we had about over 90% of the vaccinated by the Somali American Council of Oregon.
Good for you.
And that also brought in December of 2022 the recognition of none other than CDC, Center for Disease Control, as recognized and honored us as vaccine champions.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, well, tell me about your biggest accomplishment and also one of your biggest challenges.
Overall,
yeah,
I would say the cab business, because the city of Portland, it took us almost 3 years to get that through. It was not.
Yeah, people think it's easy. It's not easy to get a cab business. There's a lot of politics involved.
So we were able to get 100 license, and at that time, the cab business can make about 100,000 a year. So it was the biggest one of the biggest owned business, which potentially could make $10 million.
That's awesome.
That is something, one of the greatest thing
huge.
I can go back. Also, when we found out that population at the Portland Public School, we worked with them, and part of their reconciliation to move forward, they added Somali language as one of the program. You can take Japanese, Spanish, or Chinese, or Somali.
That's major. I was never offered Somali language when I was in school.
Absolutely. It was first African Black-owned language that's taught actually in the state of Oregon as of today.
That's awesome. SACCO's really out here doing some big things. So then what's one of the biggest challenges that you face, and how can the community come together to help?
The biggest challenge that we faced was just that there was lack of recognition, lack of reaching out to us, whether it's whether it happened by coincidence, by default, or I always want to give the people the benefit of the doubt, but it was there, and it's still as we speak today, it's still there. We still expected other non-Black African organizations to serve our community, and that's one of the biggest hurdles that we have to convince them. Yes, we can do it. Yes, we're capable. Yeah. You know, we in the beginning, when we knew in 1991, 92, when the refugees were coming, of course, most of us don't speak English. Most of us did not know how to navigate the system. But now we have a lot of, my staff has a lot of more to either going through college, already graduated, and who can do this kind of work simply. I repeatedly been asked every time, oh, we have this format and that the system that you use, and you guys can handle it. And I said, I'm an engineer, by the way.
Right. Just sidebar. Just let me drop that little gem real quick. And I'm an engineer, so I got this. Well, we're out of time, but before we go, what would you want people to know about the Somali American community?
Somali American community, it's part of our society. They contribute to society. Majority of them are actually contributors to the economy that we have. And it should be included, every communication, every language, especially in the policies. The word African community does not, African communities does not exist, and nonetheless the Somali American community. I wanted that to be in the equation and be considered, and all the resources come up that way, and also be working with us directly, because that's the best way. If you can vaccinate over 90% of the community, we are the key.
then we can do some big things, right? That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Musse, for everything that you do. Thank you for being here. And our support and our love and appreciation and respect goes out to all of the Somali American community. Thank you so much. All right, hey, if you want to learn more about SACCO, the information is there for you on the screen. We would appreciate any sort of love that you can give, because that's what they give. Love, right? It's all love. Thank you, my friend. All right, we'll be right back with more situations and conversations in just a bit. Don't go away.
Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Oregon Health Authority, helping people and communities achieve optimum physical, mental, and social well-being.
It's time for Artist Spotlight. This is the segment where we highlight local artists.
Welcome back. I'm April Allen. I'm producer and friend of the show, and right now I'm here with LaToya Lovely, or should I call you Lovely LaToya?
You can do both. I'll answer to either.
Okay, well, thank you for being here.
Thank
so
you.
LaToya is an artist extraordinaire. She is a artist, a dancer, a muralist. So you are a 2023 Renaissance woman, would you say?
Thank you. That's beautiful. I love that. Claim that.
Amen. Go ahead and claim that, because
Yeah.
that's what you are. So
Thank
believe
you.
that. You really are. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
First, what is your inspiration, or what was your inspiration for becoming an artist? When did you know you were going to be an artist?
So I've always drawn, I've always created since I was a kid. In my biography, it says that's all I did in school. Like, I wanted to color for the rest of my life. And what a doggone blessing that that's what I'm doing. My son was my biggest inspiration. When I had him, he's 7, I told myself that I would run my own business. I'd be a business owner, because I didn't want to work for corporate America. I didn't want to work and not see my child, you know, for the majority of his day being at school and me being at work, and then coming together. That's our society. And so I was inspired to be an artist and to just beautify and to pour myself into this world. And so, yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Out of your modes of artiste, which one's your favorite?
Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's hard, because I feel like they're equal, but then also, you know, we have our tides and ebbs.
Yeah.
And so ebbs and flows.
Ebbs and flows, yeah.
And so there's times when movement is so important to me, especially when I'm going through trials and tribulations. Like, that's how I get through and tear it apart and break through. But then also art, where I just get to be silent and I just get to meditate. I feel, there's just equal.
It's an equal opportunity situation. It just depends on where you're at. I think
Yes.
that is pretty illustrative of life, actually. So yeah, okay. So where can we find you? What do you have going on? Because I know you got some stuff going on, girl.
Yes. Okay. So I have just recently completed residencies for Vernon Elementary School, where I was working with a couple.
Yes.
That was a blessing, working with the community, working with a couple of different grade levels on projects. And I've also been doing a residency at Harney Elementary School. I'm at Alberta House, Historic Alberta House, where I also completed a residency, finishing up a mural. I have a couple of pieces there. So that's, in a nutshell, what I can think of off the bat. Yeah, where you can find me.
So you're busy.
I'm busy. Yeah, thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Artist, but you're talented, so I'm not surprised. One last thing, if we wanted to take a dance class with you, how would we do that?
Well, I'm currently not teaching, instructing privately or in a studio, but I'm always open to opportunities.
Yes.
And please hire me.
Yeah.
You know, bring me into a school, just like I do art residencies. I am open and willing and would love to be in community with students and staff in a dance residency.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was thinking of. So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. We'll be right back with more situations and conversations.
Now it's time for Hey Trey. This is where you get to ask the question. All right, welcome back to Situations and Conversations. And now it is time for one of our favorite favorite segments. It's Hey Trey. This is where we discuss issues that you bring us. And boy, do you all do it. You guys are doing a good job, by the way, bringing us a lot of good, juicy stuff to talk about. And here to discuss it all, my girl tribe is back. I have Abibat over here to my right. And to my left, I have my girl Robin Allen is back, as well as April Allen also. So hello, ladies.
Hi.
Okay, you're right. Hey, Trey. Okay.
Hey,
Guys, this is serious. So it has come to my attention that we are still out here having a struggle around dating outside of not only your race, but also dating outside of your culture. Yes, one of our wonderful viewers has brought it to my attention that this is still a thing.
Yeah.
So, Robin, I'm going to start with you because I'm going to put your personal business out there.
Okay, air the laundry. I'm ready.
You are actually married to someone
am.
that is outside of your culture
Yes.
and race.
Yes.
Talk about it.
So I'm biracial. I'm half white, half black, and my husband is Portuguese. But I knew when I was like fooling around in my youth that I was going to marry a certain type of man, and I was attracted to white men actually growing up because that's kind of all that was around. I was raised by my white mom, so you know it was like in Montana, so we can imagine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get
Wyoming,
it. We got
so
it.
Yeah. You're getting your Yellowstone on.
Get the Yellowstone on. Not that hot heavy, I wish. But yes, so from there, you know, when I went to art school in Seattle and I met more people like me and saw my culture more, my community more, I knew that I wasn't going to end up with a white guy. I just didn't know what I was going to end up with. I just knew it wasn't going to be a white guy. I don't know why. It just was like in me. I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I just need some more culture that kind of matched my cultures more, and he got me a little bit differently. I don't know. So that's where I kind of knew deep inside that's where I was gonna go. Great. And then you know I met my husband Paul, and really at the end of the day, no matter what race he was, it was that he made me laugh right off the bat, and it was clutch. It was key that I could laugh till I cried.
And I do love me some Paul. Paul is great.
Yes.
When I was younger, I was only attracted to guys from a whole nother culture. I grew up in San Francisco, which is really diverse.
Yeah.
However, though, in my neighborhood, I grew up in this district, the Excelsior district, where we were the only black family in the whole neighborhood, really. And so I was attracted to, you know, Latino and white and whatever else, and Filipino, all the things, right? Except, I mean, there just wasn't any, I just didn't see any real black guys. And that's who I'm attracted to, men, right? So, well, boys then, men now.
We'd like to think.
Be clear, right? Okay. But then, you know, as I grew older and I went to high school, outside of my neighborhood, I was like, look at some of this melanin. I am loving it, right?
It's popping.
And so I found myself really being attracted to black guys, right? Okay, take it a step further, getting to college, more exposure. I was like, but these Polynesian men are giving me life, right? So I guess what I'm saying also is like the eyes for me. Everybody's different, but the eyes for me are the first thing. Like, what am I looking at? And do I want to look at you for a long period of time?
That's true.
That's where it starts, right? Because I have actually dated I've Filipino, white, as a grown woman. I had a serious relationship with a white man. Right? We were both social workers. We were in the community doing our thing and fighting for, you know, what's right. And we bonded over that. And he was also very cute and he treated me nicely.
And I would imagine,
until he didn't, and then that was
as a social worker, he probably was culturally astute.
Right.
So that makes
a difference. I agree.
Because nobody wants to be someone's chia pet. I remember.
Not the chia pet. What do you mean?
No, okay. So I was out on a date before I was married. I love you, baby. So don't act you're making me crazy. He's Jamaican. But I went out on a date with the guy. He was Persian. And he just kept saying, "You're just so beautiful," touching my hair. And I was like, that ain't gonna be working because what you gonna do when I have a scarf on? Is it still gonna be beautiful? And I don't want to be tokenized.
Yes.
And I don't want to be someone's Barbie or a doll, right?
Yeah, right. You don't want to be fetishized.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
That's the word right there, friend. But
Yes.
yeah, I don't want that. So I was like, although, he came from a family of means, was attractive, educated.
Checked all the boxes.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm good. Like, that's not what I want. I knew that
Who wants to be
early
educating
20s.
somebody
That's
all
good.
throughout the
Yeah,
relationship.
no.
Exactly. I mean, I think what it is that whenever you do go outside your race, sometimes they put you up on a pedestal. Now it's okay, you can put me on a pedestal, but don't put me so high to a point where you are fetishizing.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Right.
it feels a little awkward because you're just like, are you loving me?
Yeah.
Or, for me or for my, whatever.
sugar.
My brown
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah.
Brown
Yeah.
sugar.
Sugar.
I'll
Chocolate,
take
like,
that
all of that.
cocoa bean
All of
over
that.
there.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
She's
what is
beautiful.
that?
Cocoa
And then
bean.
you get to a point where you're just like, is that all? Like, what can you
Yeah.
put on? So, yeah, at the end of the day, it is all about that connection that you have, right?
Totally.
So making sure that you guys are aligned. But yeah, it's definitely difficult when it comes to try to date outside your race and be like, okay, I'm owning who I am, I'm owning who you are, but then also there's so many things that go along behind the scenes where you're like, okay, I have this thing where I call it the piano fingers, you know what I mean? Like when you hold hands and it's black and white. It just, for me, it's a little off for me. I mean, I've always just noticed I wanted a nice little flow of chocolate. Something about that. It's just like, I want to put my black man on a pedestal too.
How about that?
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like who you are comfortable with and who's comfortable with
Yes.
you.
Yep.
Whatever your level of comfort is. Maybe some sisters are comfortable, dating someone who they don't have a problem explaining some things that may not be automatically understood.
Yep.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Or maybe your comfort level is like automatic, like, oh, you got me. Automatic. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And no matter what, the man has got to treat you right.
Right. No
Period.
matter what.
Period.
Point.
No
And
matter
how
what.
he treats you when he's angry, just like how he treats you when he's happy with you.
Yep.
Those are all the things that you really need to know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really. And so
Yes.
at the end of the
Yes.
day, it's all about who you like and who like you
Yep.
and who you want to do.
Okay.
That's important.
Yes.
Listen, we're not going to take that part out of the equation because there has to be
no.
some sort of attraction,
Yes.
chemistry level also that if for any longevity. But clearly, that's a hey Trey for another day.
That's a hey Trey. That's a hey Trey for another day.
Another day. You know what I'm
That's real
gonna
talk.
say. Okay,
No.
I'm sorry. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here for another lively conversation. I love you guys dearly. Also love you for watching. Thank you so much for joining us today. God willing, we'll be back together again for another fantastic episode of Situations and Conversations. Until then, you know what I'm going to say. Please take excellent care of yourselves. You have to in order to take care of anybody else, which is our mission. When you think me, think we. When you think you, think too. We'll see you next time.
Special thanks to our presenting sponsor, Oregon Health Authority, helping people and communities achieve optimum physical, mental, and social well-being. And thanks to Tabiba Styles for hair and makeup glam, as well as Adorn Boutiques for my wardrobe. Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee is shot on location at Louisa Event Space in Portland. Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee is a Bum Juice Entertainment production in conjunction with Thomas Chung Films, Bloom Beauty Collective, and Allen and Unger Consulting Group. Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on Fox 12 Plus.